Okay.
Yeah, my name is John Peyton. I served as mayor of Jacksonville from 2003 to 2011.
And we're observing the 50th anniversary of consolidation. Uh, what are your thoughts about this form of government?
You know, I think consolidation and the consolidating of our government is probably one of the most important and significant events in our history. When you look at Jacksonville compared to other cities, particularly cities of our size, I think the consolidation gives us a huge economic advantage. We're able to compete more effectively for the jobs we try to attract here because we speak with one voice. And having a strong mayor form of government, I think, enables us to really work from the same song sheet in many instances where a lot of counties and cities are at odds for big projects.
And you saw that as mayor.
Absolutely. I had a lot of interaction with mayors from other cities, and I think it's safe to say that we had probably the most enviable form of government of any model I've seen. Now, there is no perfect governance model, and there are trade-offs, but when you weigh the pros against the cons, I think our form is a huge advantage for a multitude of reasons.
And we get into the area of speculation, I guess, but it's interesting to think about what Jacksonville would be like if voters had said no back in 1967.
Right. Well, you know, if you look at our history, most of the bold things that have happened here, be it the attraction of the NFL, hosting a Super Bowl, passing the Better Jacksonville Plan, I would say that our form of government gave us a huge advantage to do very bold things that I think would be almost impossible to do if we had the typical bickering between city and county that you see in so many other regions.
Not to mention a multiplicity of municipalities, perhaps.
Right. Well, there's no doubt I think, deliver services more efficiently and more effectively than any region our size. I would say that's a dividend of consolidation. The fact that we've kept our tax burden low all these years is a dividend of consolidation because we're able to deliver services more efficiently, more effectively. We don't have the redundancy and the overlap that you would see typically between cities and counties, and that's a huge advantage. Jacksonville's been ranked as one of the most tax-friendly cities in America. You combine that with our low state income tax, no state income tax, it gives us a huge advantage for attracting jobs and creating a better lifestyle for our residents.
Now, the beaches in Baldwin voted yes on consolidation, but voted to retain their local governments. Was that a problem as you saw it when you were mayor?
You know, it wasn't a problem. I was fortunate enough to work with mayors that were great to work with. So we have 4 separate municipalities: Baldwin, Neptune Beach, Atlantic Beach, and Jacksonville Beach. And we had the privilege of enjoying a strong working relationship. I'm not sure, it provides all the efficiencies we like to see countywide. But, as long as the relationships are constructive, I think we're able to provide communities that want more of their identity preserved and their governance preserved at the local level, while also providing services countywide. So, but it was a trade-off for consolidation, and without those municipalities being established, I suspect consolidation would not have passed.
As you may know, there are some people who have buyer's remorse, if you want to call it that. They think it would be better off without consolidation. And I just wonder what you would say to them.
I think we have to be realistic. There is no perfect governance model. Every model has pros and cons. I think we have the most enviable model from what I hear from other regions, but there are challenges. I think there are some things that we can do better. I think we need to do a better job focusing on downtown. I would say our downtown has lagged most cities in the Southeast, and I think consolidation is probably a part of that. We are governing over 840 square miles. The needs are great, the resources are limited, and when you don't have residents downtown, you don't have the advocacy that you would see perhaps in an area that was not consolidated.
Why do you suppose more towns, cities haven't consolidated?
When you're talking about consolidation, you're talking about a lot of folks giving up a lot of power. That is very difficult, and I think without a crisis, in the absence of a crisis, it is almost impossible to ask a community to make that type of drastic
And
change.
Jacksonville had a crisis.
Jacksonville had the perfect storm. We
Oh.
had.
You weren't. Of
I
an
wasn't
age.
around, but I've certainly done a lot of reading. But if you
Yeah.
look at what was happening, elected officials were being carted off to jail, being indicted on a regular basis. Our school board was not accredited, lost its accreditation. We were dumping raw sewage into the St. Johns River. There were enough bad things happening to where I think a civic-minded group of individuals was able to say, look, we can do better, we deserve better. Let's build something that we can sell to the voters and change our direction. So in 1968, this community embraced a very bold and somewhat risky proposition, and that is, let's change the way we govern ourselves. And I think we've enjoyed dividends from that every day since 1968.
And perhaps you encountered mayors from other places who were envious?
Absolutely. I would interact with mayors from other cities and other regions, and it's the dynamic between cities and counties is often not productive, is not constructive. The working relationships are not positive, and it creates obstacles, particularly when they're working on big projects that benefit the region. If you're trying to attract an NFL team, or if you're trying to build a convention center that services the entire region, maybe a big library that services the entire region. Those projects, a lot of turf battles, a lot of egos, a lot of politics play into that, and it's just not helpful. I think we were able to eliminate a lot of the barriers and hurdles that many communities face by choosing to really wrap around one government and one region for the whole entire 840 square miles of Duval County.
And some of the criticism that you might hear today may be not directed really at the form of government, but at some of the politicians who have been elected to office.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, when you have a strong mayor form of government, you need to have a strong mayor. This government requires it, and if you have anything less than that, it can be a problem. I think we've been very fortunate, on average over time, to have strong leadership, and I would accredit a lot of our success to the individuals that sacrificed their time and energy and quality of life to serve this county.
But looking at the form of government and having been in charge for 8 years, is there anything that occurred to you that maybe the founders might have done that they didn't do?
Well, I think when you talk about trying to earn the support of a community for a drastic measure like consolidation was in 1968, there are trade-offs. We have a lot of constitutional officers that all do a great job. Many of them are my friends. I think in other cities they basically are department heads. They're not constitutional officers. There's a lot of expense incurred with.
And that was clearly a compromise.
That was a compromise, and so there are a lot of expenses incurred with holding elections, and having independent officers, constitutional officers that are elected makes it difficult at times to agree on budgets, as opposed to a department head that works for the mayor is more likely to cooperate. So there are trade-offs, and I think all in all, there are far more pros than cons. But I think we have to recognize the political realities that were being faced at the time, and I think the folks that tried to thread this needle did as good a job as you probably can do.
Okay. Anytime that chair is moving, Harry, it's making a chirp that I think is going to pick up. So anytime it's like barely even rocking, I'm getting chirping. So
I'll try.
yeah,
Okay.
not sure.
I didn't even
Change
hear
the
it.
chair too.
Yeah, but the mic is
Yeah,
more sensitive than our ears.
Right.
Okay, resuming our interview, we're talking primarily about consolidation and your thoughts and so forth, but as long as you're here, give us a little bit of a synopsis of the Peyton years and what you're most proud of, the 8 years that you were mayor.
Well, I was served from 2003 to 2011, and I would say we had some highs and lows. The height of that experience for me personally, and I think as our community was hosting the Super Bowl 39, we were lucky to get that opportunity. I think we're the smallest market to ever host a Super Bowl, and I'm proud of the way we did it. We had some creative, innovative ways to accommodate the shortage of hotel rooms with bringing in cruise ships, and I think our community created one of the most hospitable environments I think Super Bowl had ever seen. We had a very successful fundraising effort so we were able to complement a lot of things that our city could do for our visitors and our guests. So very proud of that. The challenge during my time was, of course, going through the Great Recession. 2007, 2008, we saw an economic downturn that was like nothing we'd ever seen before. Businesses certainly felt it, but I will tell you our city was at great risk with not being solvent at times with the delivery of services and meeting key needs for our citizens. We had to make some tough decisions, some decisions that were not politically expedient, but I think responsible. We've restructured the way we finance our government during that time. We made some hard calls on eliminating services that we thought we needed to, and we asked for our city employees to take a pay cut. It was a really difficult time. We were in a situation where we were asking taxpayers to contribute more, asking city workers to get paid less. Neither of those were popular, but they were the right things to do at the time. And so I'm glad I was there when I was there because I was not seeking a higher office, and I think that enabled our team to make some very difficult calls that I think in the long term have served this community very well.